DHS is allegedly looking into arresting members of Congress who were showing up for their legal and constitutional obligation to conduct oversight. If anyone's breaking the law in this situation, it's not members of Congress, it's the Department of Homeland Security. It's people like Tom Homan and Secretary Kristi Noem. You lay a finger on someone, on Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman, on Representative or any of the representatives that were there, you lay a finger on them, we are going to have a problem.
Board Czar Tom Homan joins me. Good evening, sir. And since you were named in that, your thoughts on what Congressman AOC says that, about you and whether or not if you lay a finger on, or maybe you can tell me whether arrests are likely. What can you give me an update?
Well, first of all, I am extremely intimidated. Wow. Look, she's foolish. Bottom line is, as she's been yelling and screaming for the last 4 years, no one's above the law, including members of Congress. I've said from day one, you cannot support ICE. Shame on you, but you can do that. You can protest against ICE. Okay, I disagree with you, but you can do that. But you can't cross the line. You can't cross the line of impediment. You can't cross the line of knowing and harboring or concealing an illegal alien. And you certainly can't trespass on the ICE detention facilities. And you can't violate the law. So when you cross that line, we'll ask the Attorney General to prosecute, and that's what we're doing.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so as you can see from that intro, we've got two narratives going on, or to be more precise, we've got a narrative and then we've got reality, actually what is going on over here. So I know we covered this the other day with Bonnie Watson Coleman and this Congresswoman McIver storming into an ICE facility, and that's a little bit of hyperbole, just slightly though, because as you can see from the videos, as we covered the other day, yeah, they're pushing, they're shoving, they're punching and fighting with cops trying to get into this ICE facility. And you know, normally that might not be a problem, but when you show up during a protest and also they're trying to transport or transfer detainees from a bus into the facility, I'm sorry, you cannot show up with all of this nonsense going on and then claim, oh, I'm from Congress and we have oversight, you better, and demand we go and inspect this facility right now. Sorry, that's not how reality works. Like I was saying the other day in the video, these ICE detention facilities, they have policies that state you have to call in advance and schedule a damn oversight inspection, for goodness sakes. Right now, Congress, they can show up, right? There is no law explicitly permitting them or not permitting them to just show up unannounced. But once again, ICE does not have to permit them to enter. But we've got these two narratives going on, folks. We've got these, the Democrats over here saying, oh, but the cops assaulted us. And then we've got reality over here where we've got video evidence, which there's supposedly more video evidence coming out, that, yeah, it was Congress that was the aggressors here. But let's get into the news article, folks, because this is all very fascinating. I love it, y'all. I really do love what is going on. The Democrats are ripping themselves apart right now, and the Trump administration is just following the law. It's just doing its thing, and the Democrats just can't handle somebody actually enforcing the laws, for goodness sakes, when it comes to immigration. It's fascinating, y'all. Noem, Democratic lawmakers committed felonies at ICE facility, calls for censuring. Now, when I read that headline, I'm like, what? Calls for censuring? Like, no, I'm sorry. Look, we've got a problem in this country right now where a lot of people, the corporate press, they move so quickly and they'll get these narratives out there. That's why they called for, CNN called these congresswomen and immediately got them to an interview to get the interview out there with this Congress lady saying,
when they arrested the mayor, he was in the public domain. He was not on their property.
We were there with them, telling them that they could not do that. He's not doing anything wrong. And through that, we also were assaulted by ICE police officers. It's all on video. I was assaulted by multiple ICE officials, as well as the congresswoman was literally roughed up. So totally, was unnecessary force. I mean, it really was ridiculous.
Blah, 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 blah. So when you first hear about the story, you hear their side of the story, and you hear that, oh, well, they just showed up. They have the right under the law to show up and inspect these places. You go and fact check that. Yes, they do. But, once again, they didn't say the context around it, but they show up and they say, oh, the cops were shoving on us and blah, 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 blah. So immediately when that happens, you get this idea in your head, oh, the Trump administration is fascist, especially if you already lean in that direction. Therefore, you're going to go with that narrative, right? So this is how we have competing interests, folks. And what I'm getting at here is it is crucial that the Trump administration follow the law on this. They must indict and charge these congresspeople with felonies. If they're going to say they committed felonies, you need to follow through with that, because once again, you've got these competing interests. You've got Democrats over here screaming, we were assaulted. Then you've got reality over here saying, no, that's not how it happened. They assaulted the ICE agents. Okay, so perception is key, right? So they need to be arrested, as a matter of fact, right? Like, I understand, look, Congress, they get these privileges and they're kind of above the law in certain aspects. But when it comes to situations like this, and if we want to get this country back on track, they must be arrested and charged with the crimes that they committed. Because if you do not, the narrative from the left will just run amok. Right? Because think about this for a second. Okay, so they're going with this, oh, well, we were assaulted nonsense, right? And it's not what actually happened. But if the Trump administration does not act, then logically you can deduce, well, they must have not broke the law. The Democrats must be telling the truth, because the Trump administration, they're just not doing anything about it. They're over here calling for censoring, for goodness sakes. No, something must be done about this, and I think Trump needs to be a bit more heavy-handed when it comes to situations like this. These people must be arrested. Ignore all the saber-rattling over here, because it's nonsense from AOC. Like, what? If they lay a finger, we're going to have a problem. Right? They're already trying to run with the narrative, which is my next video, by the way, and I told you guys I was going to cover it. The judge up in, I believe it was Wisconsin, that was arrested for allowing a criminal alien who was there, who was in court for beating on, I believe it was his wife. I'm not sure. So allegedly beating on his wife, right? Was there for that. Allowed this guy to go out a back door, a jewelry door, to evade ICE agents, and was arrested for this. Now, the Democrats are trying to go with the narrative, oh, Donald Trump is smashing through checks and balances left and right. Now he's going after judges. It's fascism. No, folks. We need to get the narrative out there. Or, I'm sorry, we need to get reality out there and say exactly what happened on this. This is why my channel exists, by the way. To get that out there, to say this is what happened. You cannot aid and abet criminal aliens, for goodness sakes, especially as a judge, right? It's illegal for anybody to do, but if you're a judge, you swore an oath to the Constitution to uphold the Constitution. That's everything within the Constitution. So when you aid and abet illegal or criminal aliens, yeah, you just smashed your oath. You just smashed the Constitution. I'm sorry, it's not Trump smashing checks and balances. It's Democrats smashing those checks and balances. It's insane what the narratives that Democrats just poof, they pluck them out of thin air. It's like some sort of end-cap clearance rack or something at the dollar store. They just bloop. We'll just go with this narrative. Why not? Let's get into this. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem on Tuesday accused 3 Democratic lawmakers from New Jersey of committing felonies while visiting an an Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility in New Jersey, or ICE facility. Got those mixed up right there. Reps Bonnie Watson Coleman, Robert Menendez, and LaMonica McIver were present. Well, they were just present, right? At the Delaney Hall Detention Center Friday, where a scuffle with law enforcement ensued, and Newark Mayor Ras Baraka was arrested for trespassing. Now, their narrative on this is they all went inside, then came back outside, and that's when they arrested the mayor for trespassing. Yeah, they stormed into the facility, and that mayor had no right to go in. Just because he was being escorted or he was there with those congressmen who absolutely do have the right to go into that facility, they have to be allowed, they have the security clearances to go into that facility. He does not. And they told all of them not to go in because it was a bad time. They were transferring detainees off a bus, for goodness sakes, while a protest is going on. Like, could you think of a worse time to show up for a damn oversight inspection, for goodness sakes? This wasn't oversight. This was committing felonies. This was going out and attacking people who stand up for the rule of law. And it was absolutely horrible, Noam said during a Tuesday appearance on Fox News. Noam was not present for the Friday incident. Now, you love how the corporate press does this. They start this whole thing off from a place of bias, folks, and now they're giving their bias, right? Oh, hang on, we got to be fair, though. We've got to give the other side, we got to give their testimony, right? We got to give whatever they're saying so we can be fair and balanced. But then they go on to say, well, that's what she said, but she wasn't there, trying to discredit what Noam is saying, as if there isn't video evidence of what happened. We played the video the other day. I'll probably play the video again, just because.
Hold it. Back up! Back up!
But you love how the corporate press does this, right? Once again, folks, like these news articles, they're not really news. They're mostly opinion. They're mostly narrative building, trying to push you in a certain direction. That's all they're doing. That is all they're doing. They could be fair. They could say, Kristi Noem came out and said X, this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. This is what she said. She refutes it, blah, 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 and that's it. Why go into the nuance, if you will, of Noam was not present for the Friday incident, right? That is a complete discrediting qualifier. Democrats have accused the administration of lying about what happened. Then, to put the cherry on top, the follow-up here, Democrats have accused the Trump administration. She wasn't there, and they're lying. Watson Coleman posted a video of the group of lawmakers entering the building with escorts while a crowd of people waited outside the gates. You love, once again, folks, this is some of the most ridiculously biased framing of a news article I think I've ever seen. Did you hear that? She posted a video of the group of lawmakers entering the building with escorts while a crowd of people was waiting outside the gates.
Goddamn Gestapo, that's what you are. New Jersey's Gestapo, right here. Put on brown shirts, you'll look more the part.
Okay, so from that description, did that match that video at all? No, that wasn't the video that she posted. That was another video that was posted. Yeah, so that description did not match that whatsoever. So somebody is lying. We have video evidence on one hand showing a completely different story, and then we have her story. The corporate press, they're trying to run with that narrative as if they can get away with that. No, I'm here to knock it down, folks. That is not reality. That is not what happened. Here we go. We keep going, though. We will be your eyes and ears, and we will report back to you, Mayor Watson, Coleman told Baraka, who waited outside the gates. The New Jersey lawmaker said upon leaving that ICE agents had shoved her and others. Since DHS has been lying about this, allow me to correct the record. This scuffle, during which an ICE agent physically shoved me, occurring after we had entered the Delaney Hall premises, she wrote in a Friday post on the social platform X. We entered the facility, came back out to speak to the mayor, and then ICE agents began shoving us. Think about that for a second. Okay, so these people all went in. The mayor obviously didn't go in. He remained outside the gates the entire time, right? Why was he arrested for trespassing? Right? They came back out and then just for some reason, for no apparent reason, started shoving the congressman and arresting Mayor Baraka. Just for no reason. That's what they're trying to make you believe. That is what they're trying to make you believe. That is some of the most insane, nonsensical nonsense I think I've ever heard in my entire life. And that wasn't even a Lawrence O'Donnell clip, right? These people are literally insane, y'all. They really are. I'm sorry, that's just not how reality works. ICE agents don't care about your stupid little oversight inspection, for goodness sakes. They care about the security and the safety of the people around and within that detention center. And if you're trying to barge into an ICE facility unannounced for your oversight inspection, for goodness sakes, and you try to shove your way through all these ICE agents, yeah, they're going to push back on you because they don't want you going in because they're transferring detainees off of a bus and into the facility. A lot of these people are Tren de Aragua or MS-13 gang members who are very, very dangerous people. And they are trying to stop them from coming in for their own safety. Insanity, y'all. We were escorted in by guards because we have lawful oversight authority to be here, she continued. Is that so? Hang on, I'm going to refute that here in a minute, but let's keep going. Members of Congress have the legal right to conduct oversight at ICE facilities without prior notice, and Watson Coleman said she has already done so twice this year. However, the Trump administration said the lawmakers stormed the building. Is that all that the Trump administration said? That they stormed the building? DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin suggested more Democratic lawmakers could face arrest as a result of the incident, while GOP Rep. Buddy Carter introduced a Tuesday resolution to strip House members of their committee assignments, to strip those House members of their committee assignments. We actually have the body camera footage of some of these members of Congress assaulting our ICE enforcement officers, including body slamming a female ICE officer. So we will be showing that to viewers very shortly, McLaughlin said during a Friday CNN appearance. Officials have not released a video revealing the physical altercation described. Rep. Ocasio-Cortez has also criticized the administration over their handling of the incident. If anyone's breaking the law in this situation, it's not members of Congress, it's the Department of Homeland Security, she said in an Instagram video posted Sunday. It's people like Tom Homan. Yeah, we already saw all that in the intro, right? But let's get into what I went to and asked Grok, because you know our good old digital friend over there at Grok, they love compiling their information. So I asked Grok a simple question. Do members of Congress have the authority to show up unannounced to an ICE facility for an oversight inspection? And this is what Grok told me. Members of Congress are generally allowed to visit Immigration and Customs Enforcement detention facilities, including for inspections, but unannounced visits are a gray area. The legal framework and practical realities create some ambiguity. Congressional oversight authority derived from the Constitution and statutes like the Immigration and Nationality Act grants lawmakers broad powers to monitor federal agencies, including ICE. This includes inspecting facilities to ensure compliance with laws, regulations, and humane treatment standards. There's no explicit law or regulation prohibiting unannounced visits, and members have conducted such visits in the past, often citing their oversight role. For example, in 2018 and 2019, lawmakers like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Senator Elizabeth Warren, made high-profile visits to ICE facilities, some of which were described as unscheduled or minimally coordinated, right? Described as unscheduled. That's fascinating. I wonder why Grok would frame it such a way. That's very interesting. Described as unannounced. They either are or they're not. They're not just described in that fashion. I love how we can't get a straight answer from Grok. Now, Grok continues though. However, ICE, under the Department of Homeland Security, often imposes practical barriers. Agency policies typically require advance notice for visits to ensure safety, security, and operational continuity. ICE may argue that unannounced visits could disrupt operations or pose security risks, though they can't outright deny access to members of Congress without risking accusations of obstructing oversight. Right? Who cares about an accusation? You see what Grok is trying to do here. These people, they are not on friendly terms with you. These AI bots like ChatGPT and Grok and all these places, they compile information from the corporate press for the most part. That's where they get their official information from, for the most part, right? But you love how they frame their way around saying that, yes, ICE can definitely deny them entry. But we're going to get to that without risking accusations of obstructing oversight. Oh, no, they can't. No, without risking... Love the caveats in there. In practice, facilities may delay or limit access during unannounced visits, citing logistical issues, as seen in some 2018 incidents where lawmakers were temporarily barred or faced restrictions. Oh, now you give us the truth. So I thought, oh, well, that's fascinating. Well, how about this? So I continued to ask Grok this. How about during a protest while simultaneously attempting to offload detainees from a bus? And this is what Grok said. This is funny, y'all. Members of Congress can visit ICE detention facilities for oversight, including unannounced, under their constitutional and statutory authority, ergo Consolidated Appropriations Act 2020, Section 532. However, attempting to enter during a protest while detainees are being offloaded from a bus complicates matters significantly. A recent incident, and then they go on to name the recent incident, right, at Delaney Hall Detention Center on May 9, 2025, illustrates this. As a bus of detainees entered the facility, Representatives Robert Menendez Jr. and Bonnie Watson Coleman, alongside protesters, stormed the vehicle gate, entering a guard shack. ICE and DHS officials, including Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin, condemned this as a dangerous stunt, arguing it risks the safety of agents and detainees and themselves, as a matter of fact. They noted that coordinated tours would have been facilitated if requested, suggesting that storming the gate during detainee processing violated standard protocols. ICE guidance and facility rules require all visitors, including lawmakers, to comply with security procedures such as identification checks and screenings, especially during sensitive operations like detainee transfers. Posts on X reflect this sentiment, stating that Congress members can't bypass security or rush gates during bus offloading, as it disrupts operations and poses risks. While no law explicitly prohibits unannounced visits, ICE can impose restrictions for safety and security, particularly during protests or active detainee movements. Storming a gate with protesters likely exceeds legal oversight privileges and could be seen as trespassing or interference, as suggested by U.S. Attorney Elena Haba's comments regarding a related protest involving Newark Mayor Ras Baraka. No, that was the same protest, Grok, in case you didn't know that. Fascinating that is, folks. So don't go with the corporate press narrative on this. Don't let your lying eyes fool you. Your lying eyes aren't lying to you, as a matter of fact. They are telling you the truth. Anytime your eyes see something, yeah, it's almost guaranteed that what you saw is reality, right? I'm not saying there's not optical illusions out there and you can't be fooled. Like, people are quick-witted, and, you know, the sleight of hand works pretty good with some people. Not me. I'm not very good at such things. However, I am pretty good at yelling at a camera these days, right? But I didn't start off that way. If you guys want to get a hoot, go to my video archive, and, you know, at the top you'll see like popular, latest, and then older or oldest, something like that. Click oldest and go down to the very first one that says biased news, and watch that. It's cringeworthy. I left it up there just for people's entertainment. So if you want to go watch that, that's how I started. I just started from scratch. Not ever talking to a camera before, not, you know, doing any training or watching a video on how to talk to a camera or anything like that. I just said, you know what? I want to start making videos, and I want to read news to people and give my opinion on that. So I just started doing it. And now I get to this point. It's kind of crazy if you go watch one of those early videos. The first couple of videos that are on the channel are kind of older videos. Something I did, just kind of throwing stuff together, just why the hell not type of thing. And, you know, that was before I started actually reading the news and doing all this on camera. Blah, 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 blah. But enough of my ranting about myself, right? But, you know, it's just fascinating how the corporate press, they do everything they can, and I'll give it to them. They're smart. They're very smart. They know how to phrase their paragraphs and exactly where to place certain quotes to lead you down a path of destruction, to lead you down the path of Democrat insanity, folks. That is what they are doing. They are the cause of the plurality, or I should say the polarization in this country. Plurality, you know, whatever the hell you want to call it, it's polarization. You know, we got opposite ends of the spectrum over here. And, you know, I know it sounds biased to say this, but it's like, you know, mostly Republicans, but there's some Democrats too, that live in reality. And that's where our news and our opinions come from. And then you have leftist Democrats over here that don't live in reality, and we're arguing with each other, right, about everything. And, you know, unfortunately, Republicans have logic and reality on their side. Like currently, you know, reality has a right-wing bias. Unfortunately, it shouldn't have a right-wing bias. It should not have a bias at all. Right? We should be able to agree on the facts, on the factuality of what happened, right? We should be able to agree on that and then work out our ideas of how we feel on that, or policy implementation, or whatever it may be, right? That's where the discussion should be. But, you know, these days we're discussing reality, for goodness sakes. And people are denying facts. Like this lady, this Watson Coleman, and McIver, I keep forgetting her first name for some reason. You know, they're like, oh, we didn't do anything wrong, knowing that there's video. There were several people, right? The video that you guys saw earlier, you notice at the end of that, the guy started talking about, oh, they're Gestapo. That's not some conservative. That's not right-wing media, for goodness sakes. That's a leftist posting that video. That proves my point, right? This is what I do. For more transparency. This is why I read left-wing news, folks. I'm not going to be like some, just major bias person and read right-wing news and say, oh, Democrats are just lying. No, I'm going to take what they're saying and bring that into reality and read that out and then prove it wrong, debunk, whatever. For transparency purposes, so I don't look like some grifter or something like that, right? So I don't look like some just political hack.
You're talking about the mayor of a city where people are being held without due process in many cases.
Right.
So he has the right to say, wait a minute, I want to know what's going on here. Now, you contrast that. President Trump is saying to white Afrikaners from South Africa, I'll give you refugee status. So we're bringing in white Afrikaners who we don't know if they're criminals. We don't know this, what they went through in the legal process in South Africa. But people right here in Newark, We're going to assume they're all criminal. We're going to bring them out. And if the mayor wants to say, wait a minute, let's have due process, lock him up. He's trespassing.
But I've been rambling for a pretty good minute, so I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all of this down in the comment section. Y'all don't forget to do me that big favor and smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. This is what we do. We cover the news. We give you reality. We show you how you're being misled and mistreated, unfairly by the corporate press these days. We should point out the manipulations. That is what we do. Share this video if you guys don't mind. It's a click of a button. That's the best way to help. And once again, folks, YouTube is on the other side. They're not going to recommend my videos like they should be recommending my videos. They recommend my videos to people that don't want to watch my videos. Essentially, they don't recommend my videos to the people that could be heavily informed by what I'm saying here. They don't want to do that. So it's up to you guys and myself, to share these videos anywhere and everywhere you can. I really need y'all to do that. That's a really big help. Another big way you could help is right below the video. There's a join button. Click that button. Sign up, become a member, and help this movement stand up. Don't be just an idle, observer of the news. Be an active participant in the news and share. Get these stories out there. We've got to take our country back from these delusionists. Yeah, I think I may have just made that word up, by the way. I tend to make words up sometimes. They're delusionists, folks. That is what they do. They dream up this narrative that they want to portray, and then they work their way around the facts to get to that. We've got to fight against that. And the best way you guys can do that, at least as far as I'm concerned, is to share this video, sign up to become a member, and, recommend some perks. Or maybe you might like the perks that are already there. Go check it out, y'all. It's $5 a month or $10 a month. I didn't make one any bigger because I feel like that would be highway robbery. I know some channels, they make some all the way up to $1,000, for goodness sakes. Right? Like the New York Times. You can sign up for one of those, what is it called? Damn it. Like a commercial membership or whatever. It's like thousands of dollars. It's insane. It really is. But y'all make sure and smash that like button. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can, because that's the best way to help. Sign up, become a member, do all that googly gop stuff. And y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.